So I am here at Quilt Market, and the Brother Booth has been so gracious to host our interview today. I am with Jamie and Jessica from a new company called SewTites. And you guys might have seen when I did a box reveal for the Fat Quarter Shop, their Sew Sampler, the cutest, or it was in the spooky box, the cutest little skull SewTite came out. And so I'm just so excited to meet you guys today. This is really neat. I am looking at it from a long arming perspective. You guys have come up with these magnums that long armers are going to use. You're going to see me demoing those on the channel pretty soon. But you guys have found a way to integrate these into embroidery too, machine embroidery, right? And so I'm going to let you take it away. Well, before we get to showing the samples, how did you get into where did the idea come from first for SewTites? Yes. Well, first of all, you guys are young. Where are y'all from?
We're sisters.
Okay.
And so I live in Montana and Jamie lives in Calgary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
you had to come through customs.
Yes.
Okay. How did you get on the idea of magnets?
I don't know, about 6 years ago, we had a different company, and it was a subscription box, and one of them was a bag subscription, and I was making the sample, and I needed to put a flap away from an edge so I couldn't use a clip, and it was cork, so I didn't want to put a pin through it.
Okay.
And I happened to have some magnets laying around, and I used them, and I told my marketer sister over here, like, oh, look what I did. And she's like, we should sell that. So we did. So we quit doing the other business to focus on SewTites, and now...
And that was for bag making.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're really good for bag making.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, and I don't make a lot of bags. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to force myself to get into it because cute stuff out there.
Yeah.
So then how did you get into finding some place to manufacture these things?
Google.
See, now that is a young person's idea. How do I do this, right?
Yep.
We both did have, we both had, Jamie's an engineer by background, that's
Okay.
her, she's a petroleum engineer, I'm a marketer. We both had read some books and had some experiences that just kind of coincided, I guess, and then we were able to figure out how to source it and manufacture it, and we didn't fully believe in the idea at first, because kind of when you first do something, you're like, oh, are people really gonna like this?
Right.
So we handed out free prototypes at a QuiltCon booth in 2018, and people brought their friends back and were taking them away. We ran out in a day and a half, so we're like, oh, this is a good idea.
This has been very organically grown and built. Yes. It's not something that's just flooded the market overnight. You guys are working at this hard 6 years now. You've been that's wonderful.
Yeah. And so then we had made some industry friends at that point, stuff like that, and we sent samples to them, and then we had them in our boxes, and then 6 months later distributors started calling us. So we were like, oh, okay, this is really a good idea. And then we had some of our industry friends, Kitty Wilkin, she has Night Quilter on Instagram. She was like, I think they would work for English paper piecing. So she tried them out, and turns out that's one of the biggest uses. And then somebody else we had customers saying, I want to use them for this or that.
So you fold it over and hold it tight with the magnet and then trim or sew?
No,
and
once it's to hold the pieces together when you're sewing them, because your hand gets pretty cramped. So
so they all have a magnetic top and then a metal back.
Okay.
And it just holds the pieces
especially
together.
For hexies then.
Yeah. Well, any English paper piecing. Hexies are one of the more popular shapes. But,
show me what else you've got in here in
our pile of demos.
Bag of tricks here.
So this is our first model. We call it the original, and they all have the metal back and the magnetic top. And this is 1 layer of stabilizer, 2 layers of quilting cotton, and a cork. So this is a bag making kind of sample.
Okay, so if you were going to sew this on right here, a wonder clip won't reach.
Right, because it's away from an edge, and you don't want to put a pinhole through it because it'll leave a permanent hole.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So that's that.
Okay.
And then, however, that model isn't quite strong enough for all bag making applications. So we've worked with like Annie of By Annie Bags, and they have started really liking this model. This is our HD or heavy duty.
Okay.
And so it holds 2 layers of stabilizer and quilting, you know, a couple layers of quilting cotton. You just give it a squeeze and it holds it nice and tight.
This is the stuff from By Annie.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you just give it, like you had told me earlier, so you put them together, and it might not seem like it's going to hold, but give it a squeeze.
Yeah.
And so this is 2 layers of fabric, 2 layers of the By Annie foam. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
People use them also for like wool embroidery or handwork, like applique, which I know that's not your people necessarily, but there might be people that watch you. Yeah. So again, the back and the top holds things together instead of tapes or adhesives and pins. And then let's see. So this is Jamie, you want to kind of show, this is our makeshift long arm demo.
So what people have started doing is they sew the thin metal back into the leader, and we kind of recommend every like 4 to 6 inches, depending.
Right.
So the back you can see is in there.
The metal piece is sewn inside of the casing on the edge of the leader.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when you go to load your top, then all you have to do is snap on the tops.
Right.
Or just if you float your tops, just the back or whatever.
So where I see this being really beneficial is on the take-up rail, you're not going to get the bump if you're using, first of all, I don't use pins anyway because I'm forever stabbing myself. So I prefer the channel that goes over the tube, right? So that provides a bulk.
Yeah, this is very low profile.
And it's low profile. And on the front bar, that bulk also prevents me from using my quilt clips to clip around the belly bar for the tension I need when I float. The clips would go right over this, no problem. That's amazing. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Yes.
So I'm going to be using these.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to swap out.
Yep. And then people find, once you start to use them, you find more and more uses for them. People use them for pinning really hard to pin fabrics, like if they work with minky or gauze or lace and stuff like that, they'll use them.
This is great. So I always recommend with people with minky, don't ever put pins in it, because if you give it to a baby or something, pins get lost in minky. It's just a nature, it's a hazard with this fabric. So don't use pins. Always use the clips. But now, that's great. And then show me the bib that you had. Oh, it's over there.
So this is our demo for machine embroidery. So people are using SewTites for replacement for pins, adhesives, tapes when they are floating their fabrics in the hoop.
And a lot of embroiderers are afraid of getting a magnet near the side of the machine. They think it might mess with the electronics or whatever. But I think the embroidery machines today have really, because there's so many magnetic hoops that are out there, so they're protecting the sensitive.
Well, in these, they're a 2-piece magnet, so when they're together, the back with the front, there's the residual magnetic force isn't super strong.
Okay.
And way less strong than the magnets in your computer. Like we checked with, Brother and the other brands.
Vernia, and the other brands. Yeah.
And it's not, we don't recommend you store them on the machine, store them away from the machine.
Right.
But
and your
just
computer is up
through,
here versus down
Correct.
here. Yeah.
I have a computerized machine. I use these all the time, obviously, and
no problem.
No.
And what about if do these get hung up on the metal plate?
So they can. So you really have to, all of the magnets have a different magnetic strength.
Okay.
So these are around a mid.
So you would want to use the darker blue ones with
No.
machine. No.
No, with like this.
Yeah.
The HDs, the dark blue ones, are too heavy. They would want to stick to the throat plate.
Oh, I see.
Whereas this is a thinner material, so you'd want to use a lighter weight, like our original. Or if you're using just quilting cotton, probably from our light range, our light collection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those would be more appropriate.
Awesome.
But if you're using something super thick like leather or really thick terry, the HG would likely be more appropriate.
Okay.
Yeah. So you kind of have to learn them, and just learn which model to use for the project.
What's going to work for you? Yeah, based on what project you. So I personally pulled them out and used them the first time when I was making the lawn flag for our motorhome. I embroidered the front of the jute on the flag, and I wanted to cover the knots and the cut threads and the stabilizer that was left behind, the little pieces, with another piece of fabric. I didn't want to use a pin, and clips wouldn't reach on the back. And so I was like, well, let me try those magnets, and they worked fabulously. Yeah, I was just so surprised, and that's why when I got y'all's email, I was like, I want to talk to these girls because I love that product. And up until this point, I was been like, how would I use this? And I just really appreciate you giving me so many demos on how to do that because they have so many uses. This is
you're
great.
welcome. This is a prototype of, so SewTites do get stuck to everything. This is a prototype of a product that we'll hopefully be releasing in the spring. So it's just a little like storage thing, and you can hang it on your pegboard in front of Jamie's face. And then you can also put it next to your machine. So it's almost like a pin cushion for SewTites.
Nice.
So that's what that is.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
You said
I think
you
that's
guys
almost
also
everything.
sell the backings because backings have a tendency to walk away.
Oh yes,
They
the
get
metal
lost in the couch.
Yeah.
If you're a long armor and you do sew that metal piece into your leader, they'll be permanently in there, right? But if you wanted to use the magnums for embroidery or bag making, you would want more backs, and so now we're selling the backs individually.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this.
Yeah, thanks
I am
for
happy
having
to
us.
showcase this product. It's something I can't wait to start using.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah, sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.